So the first thing I needed to start with was the rear axle. So I'm doing a solid axle configuration on this design, and I still want to run portal hubs. So I'm going to be taking the portal hub shell design with the unit bearing from the previous iteration and copying that over to the rear solid axle. But I need to modify the housing because I don't need a tall knuckle on the rear. I just need an adapter to connect the portal hub to the solid axle. So I need to capture the dimensions for the gearing and then copy that over onto a new back faceplate for the portal hub. So if you remember, I have the output drive, the input drive, and then two idler gears. And this part of the portal hub reduces the gear ratio at the wheel by a factor of 2. So since I'm running the 58s again on this design, I want to keep that gear reduction in the front and the rear, but just with a solid axle configuration. So the first thing I need to do for this rear backing plate is make all of the features for the bearings and the gears so they can interface properly with the outer portal shell and capture those drive gears. So I'm just copying those dimensions over from the previous design onto this simple back plate. So now I'm dropping in that back plate to the assembly, and then I can start figuring out how to adapt it to the solid axle. Now I'm dropping all the gears in and making sure that all the mates are proper to keep the gears and bearings constrained but still able to rotate. And it looks like everything is correct there. Then adding a light weighting cut to this part and some chamfers. So now I'm dropping that portal hub into the rear solid axle assembly, and the differential housing is offset from the center by 12 inches. So I'm trying to find a design reference for a portal hub on a solid axle. So I started with 74 Weld, and they make Jeep portals for the steering side, but I needed to find an example for the rear axle. So I found this example from Currie, and Currie has a really unique way of mounting their portal hubs to the axle. They basically have a big boss, a machined boss on the axle housing, and then that bolts into the portal hub. So that's the first design I'm going to attempt. So I just need to make an axle housing tube, which was a 3.5-inch inside diameter with 1/8-inch wall thickness. And I'm doing the short side first. Then I have a big square boss here, but I need to find some hardware that's going to interface with it and make sure there's enough clearance. So I ended up going with these grade 8 1/2-inch flanged bolts, and those are great because you don't have to use washers, so it reduces hardware, and you still have a lot of material to interface with. And I figured this boss would just be a big piece of billet 4130, and then you could weld that to the tube, which is also 4130, and then adding that mate and then mating the portal hub to that, and then I'm going to try to put some bolts in there